What's up, world? Dane's Desk. Thanks for tuning in. Got a question for you guys today. Are Americans obsessed with entitlements? Let's talk about it. So, in light of previous episodes, I've been reading through the comments and I've just been noticing a trend. And I'm realizing that we as Americans, we have a problem. And that problem that we have as Americans is this entitlement. We have a entitlement dependency. Entitlement is at a point where it's eroding at our natural will to want to create and persevere and do things and move forward. Think about it. Nowadays, what does it take to get on in life? Everything is pretty much an app. We feel entitled to convenience in a sense. We're always looking for a shortcut. We're not necessarily really trying to figure things out, because in our minds, there's an app for that. And while, technology has definitely been a gift, it's also been a curse because, again, we've lost sight of our desire to learn and figure things out. And so it's created, this thing like where, our immediate mindset is to, default to a shortcut. One of my mentors, he gave an example of, imagine, a mother bird. And she comes back to the nest with a worm and all her little chicks are, feed me. And, so she puts, whatever she got, a worm in each chick's mouth. And so over time, the worm, the little chicks, they start to feel entitled to being fed by mom to the point where, whenever they get hungry, they just open it, they open their mouth, start chirping and then, a worm appears. And it can get to the point where when they are eventually kicked out the nest, if they never learned, how to fend for themselves, they'll be on the street next to a worm with their mouth just open, waiting for, mama bird to come feed them. But at that point, it's not going to happen. And ultimately, they're most likely going to starve and die. Why? Because of this sense of entitlement. The chick never learned that, it had to fend for itself. It had to be responsible and accountable for itself. And that's, one of the effects, or the negative effects, I should say, of entitlement. We lose sight of the sense of responsibility and accountability we have in life to the point where, we don't believe that we should have to do something, we should have to be accountable. We should have to, be responsible for, getting on in life. And so, again, let's talk about, just how, entitlement is just chipping away, at quote unquote, America's ability to be quote unquote great, to be number one, to be as great as we feel. I think we lose sight as Americans what the world is composed of. Whether it's because we don't travel or whether we believe because we have the greatest culture in the world, so there's no reason for us to learn about other people's cultures. Whatever the reason, we kind of get complacent in believing that we are great. So we just are entitled to the best the world has to offer, with no effort put in on our part. And, this trickles down, from the top to the bottom. And, we're seeing the effects of that. So, we have to, figure out, how to, fix our, cure ourselves of this problem, this sense of entitlement. Because if we keep this up, we're going to continue to fall behind, on a global landscape. Because that's, the competition these days. We're competing globally. Our citizens, are up against their citizens. And albeit even, me saying that right now, we're competing. And it's like, yes, we are. But the biggest picture, we are still one humanity. We are still, one, quote unquote being. And so, working together, obviously we can accomplish more. But, America first at the end of the day. As an American citizen myself. And so, we gotta, get back to being, as great as we once were in regards to, just our natural desire, for my skin folk, think of the like you said, the W.E.D. Du Bois, the the Marcus Garveys, the George Washington Carvers, the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, all of our prominent scholars from back in the day, like, these individuals, they had to work for what they had, how little or how small, how big or how small of whatever they had, they still had to work. They had to be educated in regards to not just earning, a degree and memorizing information and pass tests and all that. They actually had to be conscious and be in the moment, observe, pay attention to the world around them, put two and two together, connect dots, and a lot of the times they didn't know how to read, a lot of our people. But all in all, we've lost sight on this just desire to be, as we as the community likes to say, Black excellence, but that sense of Black excellence, like we were not really pursuing that to the best of our ability as we can. And albeit, I'll be the first to acknowledge, I know that there are plenty of, excellent Afro-Americans in the world as well as in America. And unfortunately, since we don't necessarily have platforms to control the narrative that we put out there into the world, unfortunately, our narrative is, being, produced. The imagery of us is being produced by, people that don't look like us. And so we're ultimately, getting represented in that regards from a third party perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's not genuine. It's not authentic. But we can sit around and complain about that, and feel like we're entitled again to some due just. But the reality is, why can't we create our own platforms to be in control of our own image and our own narratives? Why do we feel entitled to believing that it's on, these other groups, networks and platforms to, present us in an image that's genuine and authentic? Because again, we don't run it, and we got to always be mindful that everybody has an agenda. So in order for us to take control of our image, of our narrative, one of the things we do, one of the first things we have to do is snap out of this sense of entitlement and not expecting somebody else to come fix it. But to bring it back, full circle, that still applies, on the greater scale of America, because, I have a lot of friends. I've had a lot of friends, I should say, over the years who travel abroad. And one of the things they always tell me when they come back is, the wherever they went, their perspective on America and how, obviously, most people feel certain that we have the best lifestyles, and albeit we most likely do. But as far as just our going back to our innovative abilities, our ingenuity, our creative thought, like, yes, it exists. I would never deny it and say that, it's just not happening at all. But at what scale? And I know that it could be greater. I know it could be better because, again, a prosperous America. What is there? Or no, not a prosperous America. But what is that old saying? A high tide raises all boats. So again, if we just got to get, kind of like what the book Tipping Point talks about, we just got to get enough of us to this tipping point to where, we again start to just dominate, in all the areas that matter most. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that America does have a history of outsourcing ingenuity, outsourcing talent, especially when it comes to STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math. But again, I know that that's an area that we as Americans can begin to be more involved in, so that we can, start to really, gain more of a footing, in those areas on a global landscape. Because that's what I think we kind of forget to take into consideration as Americans is we kind of look at our situation from, our household, our community, our city, our state or our region or state, and then, the country. But the reality is like now we have to start, thinking more globally and realizing that, again, through the invention of technologies like the internet, and like we are now all connected. We're connected right now, through that very source and medium. So it's like I said, we got to start being more conscious of our ability to snap out of this sense of entitlement overall. Just like you said, thinking that we're entitled to handouts. You know what I'm saying? Like this idea where we've normalized handouts. We gotta snap out of that and realize that a lot of the things that we want to accomplish in life, a lot of the things that we want to do are achievable. If we believe in ourselves and our ability to do it. We can't always assume that there's a shortcut or there's an easier way or there's, what I'm saying, an app for that. And even if there is an app, you still want to know and understand how you got from where you was at to where you want to be. Because again, not only is there somebody coming behind you, but just for your own sense of knowledge and understanding. So again, you can know how to replicate, your success. And so again, we gotta, get out of this idea of just waiting for handouts or just believing that, anything we want to do is just supposed to be delivered to us on a silver platter, or that, our surroundings are always supposed to, shift to us. And I learned a new way of our understanding that concept. And so think of it from the perspective of thermometers and a thermostat. This comes to, again, emotional regulation as well as like ego regulation in regards to understanding that, again, you got people who regulate themselves as a thermometer, where, again, you put a thermometer in a room and it's just going to tell you the temperature, whether it's hot or cold, it's 70, it's 80, it's 60. But again, the thermometer changes based upon, the temperature set in the room. So that's a thermometer. Then you got thermostats. A thermostat sets the temperature in the room. So if the thermostat is set at 70, then whether, somebody leaves the window open or the door open and, it gets up to 80, the thermostat is going to kick in and set it back to 70, from 80 to 70. And if it's, at 60, it's going to bring it up from 60 to 70. Like that's what the thermostat is going to do. So again, we got to start understanding and realizing that, when it comes to just our ability to regulate ourselves and to be, more, progressive in our pursuit of our goals or whatever it is we want to accomplish, our visions, making those a reality. We got to start approaching it as a thermostat, not necessarily a thermometer, because again, as a thermostat, again, we get to set, our temperature, we get to set, where we're going to be emotionally. We get to set, where we're going to be from a thought perspective. We get to set that. And no matter what's happening in our environment, we always have the ability to bring it back to the temperature that we've set ourselves to, as opposed to being that thermometer where, again, no matter what environment you in, you rise in or fall into just your surroundings. So it's like you're just never in control. You're always at the will of your environment at the end of the day. And that doesn't seem to be like a very, good spot to be in, if you're actually trying to move forward in life. So again, be a thermostat when it comes to that. So how does that come back to the point, entitlement? Again, set yourself, to greatness, set yourself, to excellence, make that your standard, overall, just when it comes to whatever you want to do in life. For example, if you're a student, set your standard to, I'm going to get A's, or, I'm going to get, all A, or when I was in school, it was, like AEE, I'm gonna get all AEEs in my classes. So if that's, your goal, I'm gonna be an A student, like set your thermostat to that. And no matter what's happening around you, you're focused on being an A student. No matter the distractions here or there, you're set to being an A student, as opposed to just being that thermometer to where it's just like, again, you're at the whim. When you be in that thermometer as a student, you're just at the whim of whatever's happening around you. So it's just like, if I'm around people who just slacking off, then I'm gonna be a slacker. You know, if I'm around people that's, you know, about that business and that study life, I'm gonna be about that business and study life. And so you really have no control. You know, again, you just, again, as a thermometer, you just set to telling, you know, registering, you know, the temperature of the environment that you at. So your emotions is just gonna be all over the place, as opposed to being that thermostat again, where you set, you know, your temperature, and no matter what's happening around you, you know, that's where you at. You know, you at that temperature. So again, like when it comes to breaking out of this sense of entitlement, you know, we got to, again, set ourselves to whatever you want to be. So again, if this is the year where you want to get that business off your ground, you want to learn that new language, you know, you want to pay off those debts, you know, you want to start investing, you know, whatever that goal is, you know, you want to start spending more time with the kids, whatever it is, you feel me? Like now is the time to set your thermostat to that. And instead of you allowing what's happening in the world to you know, being that thermostat and letting the world, you know, tell you what time it is, you know, you set the thermostat and now you go let, you know, the world know what time it is. All right. And again, that's how we go break out of that. Because again, we can't keep depending on handouts. We can't keep depending upon, you know, bailouts. You know, we got to understand that, you know, greatness is there for the taking, and it's just about, you know, your desire to get to it. And again, it all starts with that vision. And once you got that vision, and again, now we know we got to, you know, set that thermostat to greatness, and that be the standard. All right. And so to avoid, you know, entitlement going to an all new high for the next generation, because now officially we're in generation beta. So any child, every child that's been born in 2025 so far, generation beta. And so, no, Gen Beta, as I believe is what they're going to call them. So Gen Beta, you know, at this point, you know, as America, we have an opportunity at our hands. You know, we have an opportunity to start, you know, changing the culture for a whole new generation of kids. And my vote is that we gear them, you know, direct them towards STEM. Because, again, the future that they're going to grow up in is going to be one that's driven by technology and digital systems. So they're going to need to be well versed and fluent in those languages, you know, not the languages of the past, in the sense like the language of labor, you know, where you clock in, you put your, you know, 40 hours in a week and you just go home. And like, that's not going to be the future, you know, this next generation of kids is going to grow up in. So it's on us to start preparing them, you know, for that, for the future that's to come for them. And at this point, you know, all we can do is imagine, you know, what the future has in store. But, you know, that's the best place to be in, because, again, with our imagination, we can invent the future that we want Gen Beta to have. So let's, you know, again, we go have another 25 years to do this. So let's make the most of it, or 24, I should say. We got another 24 years, you know, so that's how I'm looking at it. You feel me? Like, well, what are we going to do over the next 24 years so that in 24 years, when we looking at, you know, the adults, the next generation, Gen Beta, you know, like, where are they going to be at? What's going to be, you know, their standard? And again, we can invent that right now. And again, my vote is, you know, we make, you know, most of these American kids to come to be, that's going to be made, you know, over these next 24 years. You know, my vote is that we make them, you know, STEM learners, you know, all of them, you know, just focused on STEM. And again, they'll still learn the arts, you know, they'll still learn the humanities. You know, I'm not saying that we just kick those things to the curb, but overall, you know, we got to prepare them. We got to prepare them properly, and we got to let go of, again, like, what we think should be done, because when we was coming up, this is how we did it. You know, we got to let go of that and understand that, okay, we understand we did it the way we did it, but again, we can't keep using, you know, old language to invent a future that doesn't exist. You know, we got to update the language, just like, you know, our phones, you know, software updates. So we got to give these kids a software update. We can't keep, you know, installing these same, you know, generational, you know, languages that, you know, these network of conversations that, you know, we all have been, you know, exposed to. We got to start changing that, so that this, like I said, this next generation is going to have what it needs to have in order to just compete as Americans. And then for my skin folks, you know, to make sure that we in a place, to start, dominating as well. All right. So next, what's the solution? We talked about the problem. So like, what's the solution? And, the solution I offer is that we just, take a stand for extreme ownership. And what do I mean by extreme ownership? There's a gentleman, his name is retired Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink, and he wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. And ultimately, my biggest takeaway from that book was that, when you avoid responsibility for what you say and for what you do, and for the output or the result that you produced in life, you forfeit, your ability to transform and change. And so, from my perspective, taking a stand for extreme ownership, from an individual's perspective, and then from a community perspective, and then from, a country perspective, I can clearly see, again, a future, where, we're no longer, worried about being imperfect, because we understand that we're all imperfect. All human beings, have flaws. Nobody's flawless. But it's through these flaws, in the sense, sometimes, that we are able to, experience the breakthroughs, that we need to experience in the world. Because again, it took that flaw for in maybe somebody or something, for us for a change, see the world from a different, angle. And now seeing it from this different angle, is all the fuel that we need, to invent, a new future for ourselves. So again, take a stand for extreme ownership. And, by taking this stand for extreme ownership, and being, 100% accountable for what you say and for what you do, that's just going to open up a whole new dimension of us, from us to operate from, so we can, not fall into, like I said, that sense of complacency where, we're again feeling entitled to somebody else coming to solve our problems for us. Again, we have the power, we have the abilities, you know what I'm saying? We got everything we need, quote unquote, inside of us. We're born with all the tools that we need. But again, it's about us understanding, how to use our mind, through language, and improving our language, having more positive discussions with ourselves. Case in point, I came across some information last year where it said, it was the Olympics and everything. And so there was some study done where they said, the difference between the winners and the losers at the end of the day, was positive self-talk. Like that was one of the biggest differences, because again, Olympians, they're all training, they're all working out, they're all doing what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? They're not feeling entitled, to a medal. They know they got to work for one. Because again, they're competing on a global level. What they realized was it was the positive self-talk. So, for example, for basketball, so as a when a player took a shot and they missed it, instead of getting down on themselves, oh man, I missed the shot. Like man, like I'm off today. Like I can't hit nothing. Negative self-talk. Instead of that being what happened after that shot, what they said that the winners, what they did was they focused on positive self-talk. So they took the shot. Like, all right, next one got to be a little bit more to the right. I got to take a little bit of mustard off of that one. I was a little long. Pause. They had to, it was more positive self-talk. You know what I mean? So again, we have to take that, if that's what, Olympic gold medal and medalists are thinking or saying to themselves in order to push themselves forward, to continue to dominate and compete, then again, that's something that we can do just within our own lives. We can have more positive self-talk, because again, that's going to be one of the foundations of you taking a stand for extreme ownership and being, 100% responsible and accountable for how things turn out in your life. Because again, when things don't turn out the way you might have thought they should, once you start getting to a reinvention paradigm and you start to invent the futures that you want for yourself, then you begin to realize that it's not necessarily about how life should turn out, or how life shouldn't turn out. You just accept that life turns out the way it does, and you're just there to focus on what's going to happen next. What do I do next? Like, that's the only question you ask yourself is what's next. Then you do what needs to be done next to get to the next milestone, and it's just more of what's next, and that just becomes life. So again, problem, this entitlement dependency that seems to be, plaguing Americans, from all social classes, all ages, it's just plaguing us. And the solution is extreme ownership, taking a stand for extreme ownership, being 100% accountable for how your life turns out from an individual perspective. And like I said, being that thermostat, not being a thermometer anymore, being a thermostat, setting the standard that you're going to operate through from A to Z. It ain't no for A, Q, and F, I'm going to do it this. Like, no, from A to Z, you know what I mean? Like, it's one standard. So again, to go back to a platform or a system that we all are aware of, school. When we're all in school, we knew there was a difference between the kids who decided to be A students, and then there was a difference between the kids who just wanted to get C's and pass, and there was a difference between the kids that just was there to have fun and a good time, didn't care about their grades. And again, not to say that grades are neither good nor bad, positive or negative, but just from the perspective of understanding, how to set that thermostat. Again, which one are you going to be in life? And again, whatever vision that you have for yourself is the vision that you have for yourself. So it's on you to stay functional and positive with that vision. If you feel me, like again, because your mind is a battlefield, like I said before, and there are corporations who pay people to wage, warfare on you on a day-to-day basis to get you to come up off some of that attention that you trying to apply to what you got going on to your personal economy and to their economy. So again, stand for extreme ownership and just accept responsibility, accept that you're flawed, accept that you're not perfect, and just commit to being just a more responsible individual in life and taking ownership for how things turn out. And when you don't get the results you want, it's not about you getting mad at yourself or beating yourself up. It's just simply about you understanding that you didn't get the outcome you were shooting for. So what do you need to do next to get that outcome? And it's just that simple. All right. So last but not least, it's time to take some action. So I've been talking about, America's need to ultimately get involved in STEM. America's need to start, operating from a more global perspective. And ultimately also, just our need to have the resources to sustain the lifestyle that we want for ourselves. And so to make those three things happen, I want to equip you with some tools, some simple, things you can start implementing into your life, today. And it's going to help you just start to become the person that you need to be in order to make the things happen that you want to make happen in your life. Again, taking ownership. And so again, if we know we need to, start having, develop some sort of, marketable skill set in STEM, for ourselves as well as for our young ones. And then, again, we know that, we're going to have to compete globally. So it's probably in our best interest to not just know how to speak English, but we should probably know how to speak at least one other language. And then next, we know we're going to have resources, i.e., money, finances, income, assets, capital, in order to make all this stuff, to make our economy go around. And so, how do we make that happen? How do we do it? And so, again, got to skill up. So this is how we go skill up. So, to start learning STEM topics, There's an app called Khan Academy, Khan Academy, and it's free. Download it. You can. They offer basically science, technology, engineering, and math. Whether you want to start to make some sort of, if your skilling up is going to be in science and technology and engineering or math, there's some free coursework on there that's going to help you start to master this topic so that you can start to be a lot more proficient and efficient, in that area of life. And it's even better for the kids because now, again, they can start sooner and earlier, and the better. The earlier they start, the better. Again, we got to understand, the global competition. If they kids are starting, from the moment that they can speak and say they like ABCs and they 1, 2, 3s, and again, we got to start from there too. So again, Khan Academy is your curriculum. All you gotta do is pick a topic. So again, if it's gonna be, something in computers, they have computing. If it's gonna be something in medicine, they have medicine. If it's gonna be something in engineering, building robots and stuff or working on machines, they got electrical engineering. You feel me? Like all you gotta do is just, you gotta take the course yourself or put your young ones on there. Because again, as we said before, for some reason, we think our kids are competent. We don't think that our kids are competent enough to choose, what friends to hang out with, when and how to hang out, what to eat. But we do think that they're competent to choose a career for themselves. So again, we kind of gotta snap out of this and feeling entitled to them having these feelings of maybe it's autonomy, or freedom. But we got to, get back and snap into reality and realize that we have to start providing them with the career clarity that they need. So again, the way we do that, start guiding them into a STEM field. And so again, the sooner the better. And even for yourself, if you want to, as an adult, start making a career shift into something STEM related, you can at least begin now. Download Khan Academy, start skilling up, and again, 2 minutes a day. Just start there. Commit to 2 minutes a day. Every day, 2 minutes a day. That's what you're going to do. Learn something about the STEM field that you're interested in. 2 minutes a day. Start there. Ideally, we want to get up to more, but 2 minutes a day. Next, again, since we're going to be operating globally, we're going to need to speak, we're going to need to be at least bilingual. So again, we need to learn at least one new language. So most Americans, by nature, we speak English. But again, if we want to make ourselves, part of making ourselves more competitive on a global playing field is going to be us speaking more than one language. Because again, in other countries, they're teaching their kids, they're fluent in 4, 5, 6 languages, and I'm not joking. They at a bare minimum, they're bilingual. Like at a bare minimum, they're bilingual. So again, for these future generations of Americans, we gotta be mindful that, on a global, perspective, like our kids only know one language, on average. And even then, it's sometimes a struggle. So we got to start, like I said, we got to start preparing them. So we go prepare them, get their knowledge right with Khan Academy, some STEM fields, some science, technology, engineering, or math. Then so the app I'll recommend to you is Duolingo. And with Duolingo, you can learn anything, about anything they have. Just for the most part, they got all the languages. So again, in America, for example, like my recommendation, we at least need to, every American at a bare minimum needs to know, at a bare minimum, I would say, English and Spanish, at a bare minimum. And then from there, German, French, Russian, Farsi, who knows, where you want to take it from there, Chinese, Mandarin, Korean, it's up to you. But at a bare minimum, we need at least 2. We need to be, Americans needs to at least be bilingual at a bare minimum. So how can we do that? We can do that with Duolingo. Last but not least, again, like I said, we got to get our money right. We got to learn how to invest. We got to learn how to manage. And, one of the best ways we can do that nowadays is through it's through an app called Bloom, Bloom. And it's an app that I actually recently came across, and I've been using it, for about a month now. And again, we want to finish the investing chapters. We want to complete those. I believe there's about 34. But it's a very interactive app. It's you get to learn, but again, you get to learn how to invest, and along the way, as you're completing these lessons, it's like learning, earning, and learning. And that, you're going to get pieces of stock, and real pieces of stock that you're going to be able to invest on the real market. And so it's a beautiful thing, having this technology. Again, it can make us dependent, but it can also be a gift in regards to allowing us now, in this case, to skill up. So again, all of these apps are available for free. You can download them right now on your phone or tablet. Khan Academy, Duolingo, DUO Lingo, LINGO, Duolingo, and Bloom. Those 3 apps right there. Make that part of your stack. I made a post about it earlier. What's your stack for this year? What's your new? What are you adding new to your life to help you get from where you are to where you want to be? And, these are my 3 recommendations. So moving forward, again, the goal, 2 minutes a day per app. So that's 6 minutes a day, and commit to that. Shouts out to Mr. August, for the 2-minute rule. But yeah, I've been, since he introduced that to me, I've just been able to do more. And it's literally, I'll just say, all right, just start with 2 minutes, and 2 minutes usually multiplies into more. But 2 minutes, it gets me started. Gets me in that flow state. So I'll, give that to you. 2 minutes. So to wrap things up, are Americans obsessed with entitlements? Are we? Seems like we are, but we can undo that. And the way we undo that is, again, extreme ownership. Taking 100% accountability and responsibility for what we say and for what we do and how things turn out in our life from an individual perspective, so that we don't forfeit our power to transform and change, our future. Because again, if we are choosing not to be responsible, if we're avoiding that responsibility, then we're putting the speed and the means of change and the transformation in the hands of somebody else. And again, that could not be the change transformation that you want for you. So, like I said, let's take a stand for extreme ownership. And then last but not least, let's take action. And to begin, we gotta have to skill up. I've been talking about it, when we first got started with the H-1B visa situation. And even though that's just a microcosm, that's just a small part, you feel me? It's just a small piece of the puzzle, but again, it's still a reflection of what's happening. And again, I'm well aware that, we have plenty of great talent, and, we have a lot of corporations, that aren't leaning on H-1B visas. But again, we can't allow the couple of bad apples, to ruin the bunch. Of course, definitely want to point them out, spot them out. But again, they're going to do what they're going to do. So again, let go of what you feel like they should do, and you just focus on what you're going to do next. All right. And so on that note, this is episode 3. Thanks for tuning in. Dane's Desk. Peace.